Hello, everyone. I am Russell Clay, and this is the DraftKings Daily Trot. You can find me on Twitter at Russell J. Clay. Let's get into it. It's a nice little six-game slate here. We got a nice mix of pitching and not so good pitching. So there are going to be some bats and lineups that you want to stack, especially in terms of tournaments. There's definitely quite a few options to take a look at here. So without further ado, let's dive into catcher here. Obviously, most nights you're not looking to pay up here. Uh, a, a few guys I'm looking at though. I'm not quite afraid of Justin Verlander at this stage. I probably should be based on his recent performances, but I think you can kind of attack in a contrarian way with the lefties here. So I'm looking at Brian McCann, obviously, if you haven't noticed the way I'm describing this already. McCann does well against righties. Verlander was really inconsistent to start the year. Obviously, has stabilized recently, but that's someone I might go out in a tournament for sure. Buster Posey, obviously in cash game territory against Scott Kazmir, so you got to like that matchup and for the Giants to rebound tonight if things go correctly. So I think you're looking at that. Yadier Molina probably batting later in the Cardinals lineup, but you're probably looking to stack Cardinals anyway. So he's a nice way to get a cheap Cardinals bat. Liriano obviously has struggled quite a bit of late, so that's definitely someone I'm looking at there. Not quite cash unless you go with the higher end options in the Cardinals lineup, but someone to take a look at least. Going down here, Chris Iannetta versus Kobe Lewis. That's definitely someone you want to look at if he's in the lineup. 2,700. Lewis has obviously struggled with pretty much everything this year, so I think that's someone to look at for sure. Yan Gomes in that same range, 2,900. Definitely have to like that. Going lower, obviously you're not using Wellington Castillo today against Fernandez, even though he's 2,200. James McCann, I don't see that as a good matchup against Tanaka, so again, I think you're kind of avoiding that whole situation. And Francisco's probably not going to be in the lineup tonight, so obviously you're not looking there either, or really for the backup. So that's kind of the general gist of catcher. It's pretty straightforward. I think you look at Posey, McCann at the top, and then Gomes, Iannetta if he's in the lineup, and just kind of go from there. Again, 6 gamers, so it's not like 15 games where we have 30 options or so. Slim pickings, I'd say. First, I'm not saying Goldschmidt is in play, but if you need a leverage play against and you're not making a Fernandez lineup, Goldschmidt's an interesting leverage play. Obviously, mashes righties, so a kind of one-off in the tournament with a non-Jose Fernandez lineup, I think that could be intriguing. In terms of Victor Martinez and Cabrera, I don't really think you need to look at either of them tonight. I really like Brandon Moss in that area against Liriano rather than going at Tanaka. Obviously, Cabrera in play for tournaments if you have some cap. Victor Martinez, a nice contrarian hedge off of him, but I don't think you need to do that. I think Moss is just fine on his own. Same goes for Brandon Belt. Obviously, the numbers didn't look good last night, but you're definitely looking at targeting him against Kazmir, so you definitely like that. Justin Bohr, Goodley. I didn't mention JT Realmuto and catcher, but yeah, you're pretty much looking to stack Marlins today. I think that's a solid option, especially on a 6 gamer. I doubt they're going to be too highly owned, so I think that is what we're looking at here. Matt Adams again, 3,500 if he's in the lineup, super cheap. He's been awesome this year, batting 330 on the year, so 8 homers. I mean, he's been consistent. And obviously, if you played him last night, you had to sweat it out, but he did end up breaking through for you in the end there. So I like the Cardinals a lot again today. Any cheap bets you can get in that lineup, I'm all in. 1 through 7 in that lineup is solid. We'll see about Paxton. I don't know if we're gonna go with the Rangers stack here. I think that's a little iffy. Paxton has shown some signs. Obviously, that 10 strikeout game in his last outing. So I don't think we're totally confident with the Rangers, but at the same time, in a contrarian way in a 6-game slate, crazier things have definitely happened. So Ryan Rua, 3,100. If he's in the lineup, definitely someone to look at. As we kind of go down here, it's I don't know, guys. I don't know. There's not much down here, honestly. A lot of guys on the DL and just not much in terms of good matchups. So I think you really want to stick to 3,100 or more on DK for first baseman. It just doesn't. They're not killing you on price. There's no 5K guys today, so I think you can stay in that range and still be relatively comfortable with the rest of your lineup. Second, Robinson Cano, always in play. Always love him. 5K, 5,100. I'm still worth it for me. Pay up. If you do a Jose Fernandez lineup, it might be a little tougher to pay up for him, but maybe find one of the later punts that pop out around lineup block time and throw him in there, because lefties versus Kobe Lewis is going to be bad news. And obviously Cano does well against righties. So that's going to be potentially really rough outing for him. I like Cano a lot. I like Seager a lot. Cruz is in play. I love that full stack there. And obviously the guys at the top, we'll get into them, but yeah, you got to like that at least a little bit. Kinsler, again, if you want to go with a Detroit stack, I'm fine with that, but he's really Detroit stack only for me. I'm not really targeting Tanaka unless it's for a tournament contrarian type of way. Derek Dietrich, 4K, not quite the value he was earlier in the year, unfortunately, but I think we're looking at 4K here on this type of slate. You might be willing to just pay up for it just to be weird, or in a Marlins stack. So I'm okay with that. Decent matchup. So you're not fading him, but he's still more of a tournament guy than a cash guy. And again, back to Paxton, Odor, Profar, Azara. I think you use them together. Odor obviously only 3,800, so that's a pretty solid value, but I'm not afraid of Paxton, but he does have that upside to shut down this offense. So 3,800, I'm in. I mean, you guys can tell I'm kind of dancing with it in my brain, so it's not really perfect, but I'm in for tournaments. So and obviously Ranger stacks, but you're not playing Ranger stacks in cash anyway. So that's kind of what you're looking at there. Jason Kipnis against Shoemaker. We'll see if Shoemaker reveals his real self, because I don't know what the last 4 outings have been, but it's been pretty surprisingly awesome from him. So we'll see if he comes back down to earth today. Again, Indians contrarian tournament lineup, 6-gamer. Cash is a little tougher anyway, because all the strong plays people are going to be on and highly owned. So cash is going to be tough today, but if you're in tournaments and you're entering a bunch of lineups, Kipnis is a guy to look at for sure. In that same vein, Joe Panic, I'm all set with that. Going back to the Giants tonight, it's not the same situation it was last night with Kershaw. Kazmir just simply isn't the same type of quality arm. So I do like Giants. They're a little underpriced today. That's kind of what you're looking at there. I mentioned Profar, 3K, kind of a nice way to jump down. He's been batting leadoff, so you definitely like that. In terms of Starlin Castro, probably not the night to go at him. You know I love Starlin, guys, but this is probably a night to just kind of sit out on him. Obviously, kept his hit streak going last night, but against Verlander, you don't like the weaker bats in the Yankees lineup, so probably avoiding him. Keep an eye on the bottom here, Hanser Alberto. If he's somehow in the lineup, maybe throw him in 2K. So obviously you're looking at good matchup down there if you can get him in. So that's kind of what you're looking at if Profar or Odor somehow isn't in the lineup. So that's second there as well. Kind of short again, guys. 6-game slate. Not too exciting. Third base. What do we do here? Matt Carpenter. I love Liriano against the Cardinals, but obviously Carpenter is the true lefty in that lineup, batting leadoff. So 4,800, that is pricey for me. I'm not afraid of him. Again, I think you can go with him in a Cardinal stack, but at the same time, there is that lefty on lefty matchup, so that's not ideal for Carpenter. So 4,800, that's expensive, especially if you're paying up for pitching. You're probably not touching him unless you're being super weird, which sometimes I encourage if you're making 10 to 20 lineups. If you want to throw a Jose Fernandez lineup in and then have a Matt Carpenter, I can't see that combination being highly owned. So if you want to get weird like that, you can, but that's Carpenter not in a perfect matchup. Martin Prado, again, Marlins, I'm cool with other than Giancarlo Stanton. You guys know my stance on him if you've listened to any of the last week or two. It's just not worth it. So I think you play with the guys around him. Prado, sure, I'm in. If he's in the lineup, definitely. Seager, my number one for tonight. I just think the Seattle lefties are just money in the bank against Lewis. So I mean, those are cash to me. You throw Cano and Seager in cash and don't worry about it with Fernandez and just roll with it. So that's what I'll be doing. Hopefully you'll follow me. Jung Ho Kang. I love him. I know Jason loves him. Jung Ho Kang, but I don't think we can do it tonight. Sorry, guys. Martinez, strong pitcher. Weak lately, but I don't know that I'm in on the Jung Ho Kang train. I do like the Pirates as sort of limiting the upside of Martinez tonight, but I don't necessarily like them as a strong sort of one-off type of plays, you know? Again, Castellanos is in the same boat against Tanaka. I don't love that matchup, so I think we're kind of avoiding that. Jose Ramirez, nice tournament punt against Shoemaker. If he comes back down to earth, I think that's kind of what we're looking at there. Justin Turner came through last night, obviously. 2 home runs in his last 3 games, only 2,800. I mean, obviously he hasn't played up to his what we perceive as a skill level this year and what his historical splits spit out in the optimizer every day. So 2,800 against Samardzija. Samardzija has blown up quite a few times this year. That's intriguing. Tournament punt. I like Samardzija in that matchup against Turner, but crazier things have happened. So on a 6-gamer, 2,800 if you need that at third, and you don't want to pay up for Seager, then sure. Kind of going down here. Again, you're looking at Sardinas, Marte, kind of that gross group down there. If Seattle does do something weird in their lineup, then you're looking at Sardinas at 2,100. And that's, I mean, you kind of just throw them in there at this point because it's against Kobe Lewis. So I'm in. That's kind of what you're looking at there, or at least what I'm looking at. You don't have to look at it like me, but hopefully my opinion is shifting some money into your lineups right now. Corey Seager, not afraid of Samardzija, lefty versus righty, so you got to like that for Seager. 4,600, expensive, but worth it. I'm in on Seager tonight. Both Seagers, sure, throw them in with Cano, and then pay down for min play as the rest of your lineup with Jose Fernandez. So If you don't want to pay up for him, Lindor's a nice tournament play. I like Aledmus Diaz once again in cash. He's just automatic, it seems. It seems every night, and especially in a good matchup against Liriano. So definitely looking at a strong play there that pretty much takes out a lot of that mid-range for me, especially in cash. I'd go Diaz and just plug him in and not even think about it. Brandon Crawford, obviously not the strongest bat in the Giants lineup, but again, if you're making a stack and you need sort of a cheap guy that's in the heart of the order, I do like him at 3K. That's solid. Gregorio Petit, a little expensive for me for the matchup. Still batting a little later in the lineup. We'll see when lineups come out, but probably not touching him at that price, sadly, because I love Petit. Didi Gregorius, tough matchup, but he's 2,300 like Sardinas. Not an optimal play, but if you can get him in there. I mean, we saw Angel Garcia hit a homer last night in a tough matchup for the Braves. So if that can happen, I mean, those punts do hit, and when they do, you get them at 1%, and then your lineups are off and rolling. So I think that's kind of what you look at there. If you truly need salary relief, maybe start to look down here. Outfield, Marcelo Zuna, Christian Yelich, priced up. I mean, they're making you pay for what is a valuable lineup tonight. So they're a little overpriced for me. Obviously, you're not touching them in cash. But sorry, my dog, once again, she's just chilling in my lap right now. That's fine. Yelich, back to Yelich Ozuna. Love the matchups. Love the Marlins stack tonight, but I don't think you're necessarily sort of targeting them in a cash game or anything like that. It's more of a contrarian thing because most people are going to be on Fernandez, so it's going to be tough to fit in 5K 4.9, and then if you do the savagery of starting Giancarlo Stanton at 4,400, that's a lot of caps. So going to be tough to fit him in, but I do like it. You got to like Polanco against the righty. So obviously instant bump up, 4,800, definitely worth it if you can fit him in. Trout, just play him every night. Who cares about the matchup? Just throw him in there if you can. I do like Polanco more, but kind of facetious with Trout. But I mean, any split you look at, it's going to come up with a gold star on it. So I'm not too worried about any non-ace. Bauer's not an ace. So boom, throw him in. Marte, strong, but not necessarily targeting him against Martinez. Cruz, not necessarily targeting him. JD Martinez, not targeting him against Tanaka. Piscotty, love him. 4,300, throw him in there. Again, Liriano, that Cardinals stack is reasonably priced today, other than Matt Carpenter. I think you can avoid Carpenter and play the righties against Liriano. That's a strong play. And again, contrarian Rangers, Mazzara, Rua, Odor, Profar, you know the drill. If you're going to do that, obviously Mazzara is going to be in your lineup. And Desmond as well. Yeah, as I mentioned, Holiday, the righty. Brett Gardner, not really targeting him. Cameron Maben, I mean, you kind of just YOLO it with him. He's still batting over 400, so you got to give him some type of daps there for 3,500, even in a tough matchup. Ichiro, 3,200, a guy that is just rock solid, batting 330 on the year, seems to get hits, if not 2 hits every game. Obviously, they're making you pay up for him a little bit compared to what you've had to. 3,200 still not killing you, though, so I'll take that in a good matchup, especially if he's batting leadoff. Franklin Gutierrez, love that against Lewis, 3,100. Helps even out those Cano, Seager, and if you want to throw out Nelson Cruz as well, he kind of averages that out a little bit. Other than that, I mean, I mentioned Jose Ramirez at third, but I think you're not really doing that here. That's more of a third base punt play than an actual outfield punt play. I just think there's tons of better options here. Again, I think this might be the spot where you kind of pay up. I feel pretty confident in quite a few of these options compared to the other positions. So that's kind of what you're looking at here. In terms of the 6-game slate, again, you're going to have to get weird in tournaments to differentiate yourself. So, um, again, think of those leverage plays. Who are the pitchers that people are going to be on? How can I make lineups without that pitcher and with sort of leverage plays against that pitcher? So that's kind of what you're looking at. I mean, Goldschmidt against Fernandez is the best example I can think of. If he gets going, obviously Fernandez is going to get 20 to 25 guaranteed. But if they can slow that down, get 20 to 25, I mean, and you play two strong pitchers, you can be looking at a pretty strong lineup in a tournament. So that's all we got here. Anyway, check out Daily Fantasy Cafe for all our awesome cool tools and content. Never be afraid to hit us up on Twitter. And have a nice evening. Enjoy the wins, folks.